Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. The killer! When I came to, I was just lying on the training hall floor. So you lost consciousness when you were in the garden, is that right? Yes, I think. I think it happened when the victim was stabbed. So then the person that carried you into the inner temple, it could only have been the killer! That's what I think too. No, unless you channeled somebody. So the killer carried Maya into the inner temple. I don't think so. I think she channeled Misty right away. By the time I got back to the garden, the place had totally changed. Naturally, the killer must have done it, right? Yes, I think so. Yeah, the killer would have had to do it. But why would the killer tamper with the crime scene like that? There must have been something that the killer desperately wanted to hide. I don't know. It looks like she doesn't have enough confidence. I think I need to gather some more information before I ask her again. The torches were lit and the body was gone. The torches were lit? Yes, that's how I noticed that the whole scene had changed. Wait, how would you know? If it was too dark to see before, how would you know it's changed? I'm going to say it was the killer who lit the torches. I mean, who else could it be? No, if you couldn't see it before, how do you know it changed? The killer probably lit them since it'd be impossible to do any cover-up work in the dark. However, if that's true, there's one thing that still bothers me. Why did the killer go to the effort of moving the body? That's true. It's hard to see how that would be of any advantage to the killer. The only one who would gain anything from that would be the only person that was at the inner temple, Maya. Very well, let me hear some more about the condition of the crime scene. And all of the snow around the stone lantern had been carefully cleaned up too. So you're saying the killer cleaned up the snow? It did look really odd. Yeah, there was blood on it. The snow was removed in an unnatural looking rectangular shape around the lantern. There were a lot of shovels around the inner temple, but they were all really heavy, way too heavy for me to use. What? What kind of shovel is too heavy for you, but not for a man? What? And what kind of man was it that used a shovel that was too heavy for you? What, the shovel was like 20 kg or something? How heavy was it? An odd fellow indeed, this killer. What kind of shovel is that heavy? Why on earth would anyone want to take snow away? Well, there's one thing I can think of. Didn't you say that a lot of the victim's blood sprayed onto the snow? Yeah. The area I collapsed in ended up being splattered. But that's not true either. Because there's no blood on the snow all the way back. We said earlier that the weapon was poked in and it stayed there, which plugged the wound, which stopped the bleeding. Because otherwise there'd be blood all over the snow all the way to Hazakura Temple. So that's not true either. In other words, the killer's purpose was to hide the bloody snow. This is contradicting earlier stuff. I think that's the most reasonable explanation, but it's not. Perhaps. However, there is something that's bothering me. If the killer just wanted to hide the snow with blood on it, there was no need to remove that amount. That's true. He could have scooped up just the snow that was stained with blood. It looks like there are some mysteries behind this issue. There's also like footprints? Not just snow, but also like footprints? But I think this will help explain them. Since the person did all that work alone, I just assumed it was a man. So you're saying that you never saw the killer, right? Yes. But earlier you very clearly stated that you saw a man behind your attacker. Nick, I'm sorry. The killer certainly went through a lot of trouble. Moving the body by pendulum, manipulating the crime scene. But for what purpose? Why do all that? Maybe Maya knows more than she's letting on. When I came to... Naturally, the killer must have done it. I think so, but why would the killer attempt on a crime scene? That's what you're trying to hide. The truth... Okay, there's more. The truth is, when I saw the crime scene, I felt something. You did? Yes, I felt like the killer was hiding the evidence for me, for my sake. What? Hiding it for you? Everyone knew that I was the only one left at the inner temple that night. If Sister Bikini had come back and looked at the garden, she may have thought that you had done it. No, she definitely would have thought so. And you're saying that's why the killer cleaned up the crime scene to make it look like nothing had happened? Yeah, except there was still the bloody word on the lantern. Yes, I'm sure of it. Well, that's certainly an important piece of information. I want you to add that to your testimony. Yes, Your Honor. Jesus. I think it was for my sake that yeah, no, like... There's more contradictions now, like... The fact that she couldn't see the garden before because it was pitch black, but now she knew it changed. How do you know it's changed? And also... Anyway, let's question this one. They did it for your sake. Well, if the body and the blood hadn't been removed, I would have immediately been the prime suspect, right? Yes, I suppose that's true. Yeah, and if that happened, the body would have caused some other problems too. If her real identity had come out right then, it would have been terrible. Master of Curain killed my own daughter. I don't think Maya would have been able to handle it. But still, it's rather difficult to fathom the killer's motives. What reason is there to go through that much trouble to protect you? I'm not sure that's it. I think it's to make sure Dahlia Hawthorne / Iris took the blame. Well, maybe not. Because Armando is here to avenge Mia. Or maybe to protect Maya. I think Armando... No, Armando's here to protect Maya. For Mia's sake. Okay, the question is, what do I... Who would want to do that? I'm gonna present, like, I mean, there's no puzzle here. I don't know what the game is asking me to present. I'm gonna present Mia here to say that she's somehow... No, that's not it. According to the game, we don't know who Godot is, even though we do know he's Armando. But I mean, we know Armando is doing this for Mia. I'm gonna try the lantern thing again, like how do you know it's changed? Nope. Alright, let me just keep pressing, because this is new. The torches were lit, the body was gone. Alright, the fact that it wasn't lit before is not a thing apparently, even though it is a contradiction, just a contradiction of... like it's an unintended plot hole. So you're saying you never saw the killer, right? Yes, but earlier you very clearly stated... Yeah. So... do I have any evidence talking about how the blood... loss of blood from... No, that's not right. The blood doesn't match the victims. I don't know what the game's asking me. I think it was for my sake that the killer cleaned up evidence of what had happened. Remove the snow. It would have had to have happened after 10:30, I mean 10:50. The body was already back in the courtyard by 11. So they moved the body away and then removed the snow. Body fell 10 feet after death. Channel the spirit. Her name, picture of a youth. Okay, wait. No. Because if it was for your sake, why did they leave that? The body of Elise Donham was carried all the way to Hazakura Temple's courtyard. Then at the garden, the real scene of the crime, the snow that we suspect was covered in blood was scooped up and removed. It's reasonable to believe all this was done in an attempt to hide the true crime scene. However, there's still one matter that seems somewhat odd. Oh? And what would that be? You must have figured it out by now, Mr. Godot. It is the message written in blood on the lantern. It was written very clearly on the white stone lantern. Maya. Ah! Wait, unless it's not Maya. Is there any other way to read that? Could it be a different name, but like made to look like Maya afterwards? It is upside down, which is weird. If the killer was so motivated to protect Maya from suspicion, then why didn't they wipe the writing off the lantern? Ah! You're right! Order! But Mr. Wright, isn't it a fact that the killer was trying to cover up the crime scene? Indeed, but it doesn't make much sense to move the body and remove the bloody snow, then not wipe off the most incriminating thing of all, the bloody writing. But if that's the case, do you have an explanation for the killer's mysterious behavior? Why would this killer move the body and remove all the snow, but then leave the bloody writing on the lantern? I don't know what the killer's plan was, but it's a fact that the killer left the writing on the lantern. There must be a reason for it. Well then, Mr. Wright, let's hear your opinion. It's to frame Maya, not to protect her. What? Why did the killer leave the message written in blood on the lantern? The killer wrote it to pin the crime on Maya. The killer didn't notice it. How would that pin the crime on Maya? If they wanted to pin the crime on Maya, why would they move the body? The killer didn't notice it. It was Pearl. It was Pearl because Pearl can't read. Pearl can't read. Pearl doesn't know that says Maya. It's Pearl. But it might be Pearl channeling someone else. Is it Pearl? How could Pearl have moved the body? Pearl must have had help. She must have channeled somebody to help her. The killer wrote it. Oh, the killer didn't notice it. No, the killer didn't notice it because we have seen. No. We previously established that Godot can't see blood. Yeah, no. Godot couldn't see this. Remember? Yeah, no, Godot couldn't see this. The killer didn't notice it. It's not Pearl, it's Godot. Prosecutor Godot, earlier in this trial you gave me some good advice. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. Maybe you're not as dumb as I thought. Come on, Godot. give me some credit here. The real killer wanted to disguise the fact that a crime had occurred there. If that's the case, they wouldn't have left the bloody writing on the stone lantern on purpose. Therefore, it must mean that they didn't notice it. But that doesn't make any sense! Yeah, no it does. Godot doesn't see it. Godot's thing doesn't work properly. The torches were all lit and everything. There's no way any normal person would miss something as glaring as that. So I think what's going on is, like, because his visor is red, I think Godot just can't see red, or he can't distinguish red from other colors. He's red colorblind. I think is what it implies. Because like if your visor is red, then everything you see would be red. Would be like shades of red. You're right. There is no way any normal person would. What? What are you trying to say, Mr. Wright? There's only one person involved in this incident. Who could have missed seeing the bloody writing altogether? And who would that be? Who is the person that could have failed to notice the bloody writing? Mr. Godot, this is what you said yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. You can't see everything? Is that correct, Mr. Godot? This lantern was submitted as evidence yesterday. I would like the court to think back to the moment it was first presented. This lantern? There's something written on it. Why? It's written in blood. Nonsense! This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. You can't see it. Mr. Godot, just admit it. There are certain colors you can't see, correct? You can't see red on a white background, can you? That's right. We went through this once before, during the poisoning case at Trilogy. This is the apron the delightful Miss Bird was wearing at the time. Wow. And somehow spilled coffee on. There's something still bothering me, Mr. Godot. Why have you not explained the bloodstain to the court? Bloodstain? What bloodstain would that be? You can't see it. Don't play games, prosecutor. The blood-colored stain that is smeared all over the apron. That's ridiculous. No one told me anything about a bloodstain. You could see the coffee on the white apron, but you couldn't see the ketchup because it was red. Ha! It's strange. In a black and white photo, those letters would have appeared black to me. I wonder, why am I the only one that can't see them? 'Cause you're blind, dude. So then, Mr. Godot, are you admitting it? Are you admitting that you can't see the red writing on the lantern? Hey Gramps, don't you know? That's the reason why I don't drink red tea! I wasn't sure about that until now, but I just can't believe it. Prosecutor Godot is the murderer! But there's no going back now. I finally figured out the truth! Mr. Godot, the defense at this time formally accuses you. You are the murderer of Miss Elise Donham, also known as Misty Faye. It's hard to believe this may be true, however, once again Mr. Wright has brought up a disquieting fact about you. Ha! Just make sure you don't fill out the indictment in red ink, Gramps. Come on, how does a little graffiti make me into the killer? Besides, it's not like it's my name that's written there. I'm certain that the killer wasn't able to see the color red. That's rich. Do go on, Wright. The answer is right there at the crime scene. In the snow? The snow? How so? Well, for example, why did the killer move all that snow? Your Honor, you said it yourself. If he wanted to hide the bloody snow, why not just take just that area? Why not take out just that area? Yes, why didn't he take just that area? Ah! Could it be? Yes, the killer couldn't see the red blood that had seeped into the snow, and so he had to remove all of the snow. He couldn't be sure of where the blood had landed, so he removed the whole area. Isn't it more likely that the killer couldn't see the blood because it was dark? Not a chance. The torches were all lit. He would have been able to see just fine. It seems that once again, this trial has taken an unexpected turn, to say the least. Can you explain this, Mr. Godot? Wait just a minute. Maya! What is it, witness? Mr. Godot isn't the killer. Okay, first of all, Godot is dead. Armando is dead. Who's channeling Armando? After all, he didn't even come to the inner temple until 2 days after the murder took place. He didn't show up until after that old bridge got fixed up.
Objection.
Maya, you can't testify to something like that. Why? What do you mean? I may not look it, but I'm... Ah! After the murder happened, you didn't even exist. She didn't? I'm afraid I don't follow. Are you senile, old man? We established this just a little while ago. After the murder, this witness was unconscious for a long time. Because she was channeling Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh, that's right. Please, Your Honor, let me add to my testimony. Nick, please listen to me. Maya, do you plan to cover for Godot no matter what the cost? If that's the case, then I've got no choice. Your Honor, let's hear her testimony. If it means we're going to hear the whole truth, I say we should not silence her. Ha! Nicely done, Wright. Very well, let's hear the witness's testimony. Please tell us what happened at the inner temple after the murder. Yes, sir. After I woke up, I began channeling, and my spirit left me, as it were. But little Pearlie was there at the inner temple too. Oh, you're gonna drag her into it? Here comes Pearls! Pearlie was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. Yeah, did she channel Armando? Armando's dead, right? She channeled Armando. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone. The next day, when the bridge was finally fixed, she was in the spare prep room. That's when Mr. Godot arrived at the inner temple for the first time. He found Pearlie first and cheered her right up. Who is this Pearlie? That's my little cousin, Pearl Fay. So when did you hear about this? Oh, just a while ago, when I was in the medical office. I'm terribly sorry, but what you heard from someone else is simply not admissible as testimony. What? Come on. Come on. Pearlie would never tell a lie. Okay, Pearl would have to testify. She's a way more honest person than I'll ever be. Real smart, Maya. You always know the best things to say when you're under oath. Ha! The prosecution has no objection. We believe the witness. Mr. Godot! Let's just move on to the cross-examination. If the defense has no objections. I mean, we can summon Pearl. This is highly unusual, but, well, Mr. Wright, let's get this cross-examination started. Pearlie was also stuck on the inner temple side that night. So where did you think Pearl slept that night? In the spare prep room next to the training hall, I guess. There's a rule that you can't enter the training hall during an acolyte's training. But even so, why did she go to the inner temple in the first place? It seems that Pearls became very worried about Maya. She knew that the spiritual training I was about to undergo was very intense. Pearls was supposed to channel Dahlia Hawthorne, but she couldn't do it. That's why she headed to the inner temple. However, Dahlia Hawthorne was already there, possessing the body of Elise Stoneham. The next morning, she looked around but couldn't find anyone.